The following is highly classified, top secret content. Refrain from viewing any of this material unless you are a certified agent.
Intro video pulled up.
I have the intro video pulled up.
All right, everybody. So we have myself, we have B-Dog, and we have Nicole here. Say hi, everybody. So, B-Dog, could you please pull up the intro video?
B-Dog on the trail, lighting up green.
No, I don't think I saw the intro.
Blazing up high.
I like it already.
Steps of breeze. While Nick's in the back counting all the cheese. Nick's greedy with this snacks rule with eyes on the loop. B-Dog laughing loud, rocking the boots. Hiking through the smoke, staying lifted high. Nick can't keep up, but he'll sure try. B-Dog hits the blunt, feeling kindness, and Nick don't smoke and he don't break bread with friends. Runs pumping clouds together, puffing.
It's an app. Yeah, get the Fiverr app. I had this guy wrapped it. He wraps all our stuff for us.
They'll do basically anything you want.
Oh, yeah. This guy that wrapped it, he'll wrap anything, any terrible words, racist stuff, but he won't insult God. That's the only thing. So the dude's like, really, isn't that crazy? He won't say anything about God, but any other crazy stuff he said he'll do. That's pretty cool, huh?
Man's gotta have a code.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah. So anyway, thanks to Mike O from Fiverr. All right, so to start this off, we were going to say, all right, this is some stuff I know. Agents. Now that all the agents are tuned in, what's the state of the real estate market right now? So you gotta realize that I went through a point where, you know how everybody calls you crazy because they're like, the prices went up, you can't buy now, you have to wait because they're gonna go down, right? Like, you know, the inflation's only temporary, it's gonna go down, or the wage is gonna pick up, or whatever. I ended up buying a house as soon as it went up, right? When you saw the big spike, you'll never buy when it's high. The spike goes up, and I bought a property. And then I thought it was going to go down. You're going to go through a few years where you lose your investment, but it got up a few times. Keep in mind, everybody thinks if you buy a property and the value goes up, it's like, oh, you're in business, pal. Let me make sure it's recording.
Please don't.
You're in business. It was just the audio. Okay. I do like triple backups, like 1, 2, 3 things are recording, so you can't lose it.
I was gonna say, please don't tell me we missed.
All right, B-Dog,
already.
you have a little condo, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just because your value went up, it doesn't do anything for you because you just pay more every month because your taxes go up. And now it might be a little different having a home. So like, if you have a home, what is this? Is this called escrow? What's the other bit besides the mortgage?
It's equity.
Escrow.
You gain equity.
I'm talking about your monthly payments, though.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me, give a little brief overview. When you buy a home, what's the payments you have? They give you like an estimate, like it might be this much, but it has to go by what it's assessed and everything. So just give a little brief description, please.
Yeah, so you know what your monthly mortgage payments are going to be after you meet with your lender, before you're making an offer on the house, and that's for the foreseeable future. And there are certain elements that can change that, and taxes are certainly one of them. And those are some of the things that are going involved with what might change your mortgage payment month over month. But I think what you're speaking to more is equity and how that might help you, and is it real?
Yeah, so the thing with equity, guys, is you can look at a baby boomer and say, hey, Dad, you bought a house in the 70s when they were 80 grand, and I'm so jealous. Guess what? When Dad moves out from his house from the 70s, he still has to pay a 2025 price, right? So just because you bought it in the 70s and it got all this equity, he's still buying now. So it's as if he just bought it now. It doesn't make a difference.
It's bigger numbers, though, so it looks bigger, right? I guess.
Well, it makes you feel good every 10 years when you see it go up. But here's the deal. I think there's nothing you can do about it, and they do their best of estimating, but they tell you a ballpark range of what you're going to pay each month for a mortgage. They can tell you how much the loan's going to be, but like you might live in an area where they have like I have a separate fire bill, right?
Yeah,
so I guess
same.
they don't, what I mean, they can't tell you all that. The assessor might just assess it higher every year because of inflation, so your payments can go up. Like honestly, I'm not trying to get people worried. I'm not trying to scare people from buying a house. Went up like a couple $100 from 4 years of owning it because of how the property changed. Okay, didn't do any major work to it or nothing. It just goes up. Like it just that's something that nobody ever told me. They also don't tell you when you're buying a home. They're like, I'm with some creepy realtor. They're like, oh, I can't wait for you to buy a home, Nicholas. You're gonna love it. They're like, by the way, Nicholas, don't go on any big vacations. I'm like, why? He goes, oh, your financing might fall through. I was like, I didn't know. I'm like, dude, every time I'm begging you to, like, I started off with nothing, not knowing anything. So I'm just hoping this one dude, he's like, Nicholas, please sign this 20-page document with language that it's like basically Arabic that I can't understand. I'm like, all right, well, I can trust you, dude. Like, you're a fiduciary, right? So you have to say, do it in my good favor or whatever, right? Is that briefly, what's the deal? Are realtors have a fiduciary responsibility towards their clients?
I mean,
ethical,
if
right?
you're, yeah, and if
Yeah.
you're their client, that means you've signed with them and you owe them everything. You owe them all the fiduciary and confidentiality moving forward.
Real quick, B-Dog, look up what fiduciary means. I know what it means, but I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And so that's why it's important to trust your realtor. It's important to make sure you're comfortable with your lender and the payments and that they're explaining all this to you. But like you were saying, it worries me right now because I have seen the pros and cons of the high market when it comes to equity. And you have a lot of, like you said, boomers who are sitting on their paid off homes with tons of equity. And it's kind of like, haha, I'm sitting on a pile of money. But it's not real tangible money unless you sell the property. And like you said, then what are you going to buy moving forward? You're going to have to buy high also. So the situation needs to be right. And if you're going into this for the first time and you need to buy high, this is something that you need to take into consideration. The market might change. How long do you want to be in this home? If the market does change, is this the home you want to be in for years if you can't sell and make anything on it moving forward? And an honest realtor is going to say all this to you. I don't have a crystal ball. The market might continue to go up and you might have equity and be able to sell and make some cream on top and buy something bigger, but it might not. And you might buy high and end up, almost upside down with your mortgage. And this better be the house you want to be in for years until the market eventually does go up again, because it's cyclical. And if your agent isn't telling you those things and they're telling you fact, I know this and this is what's going to happen, just ask someone else.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, so you can, the thing you got to realize is, like, if you buy high, then the market goes down, though, then, yeah, the home sells for more, but if you have to downsize, you're now buying in a lower market, so it kind of helps, you know what I mean? Even though you have those payments out there. It's kind of weird because you do the math for apartment versus owning a condo, right? It's like, it's always this thing, it's like, do you want to have to call guys to install water heaters? That's like the big difference, right? And like equity over time, it's like, well, it doesn't mean anything unless you sell it. So what's the point? I want to be in my home for the rest of my life. Well, I'm never going to sell it. Like, it'll go to a kid. So what's the point of it even getting any equity? It's almost like the wedding ring conundrum. Listen to this. Just listen to this. If you inherit a wedding ring from your mother that's worth 40 grand, you get it for free, okay? But you have to put in a new setting. It costs $2,000. So it costs me $2,000. I give it to my wife. We have children. She gives it to her son. He has to pay $2,000 to get a new setting. The thing is going to cost each kid $2,000.
Eventually, it's going to outweigh the.
It eventually just equals 40 grand. Just pay for the ring again. So it's like, it's almost like it's a burden. You know what I mean?
It's going to take about 40 generations, though. I mean, that's going to be like 800 years, basically. You're looking at.
Yeah, they're saying, like that's the thing. It's like they're saying that it's worth this much. It's like okay, how about this? I have a timeshare I can't get out of that's worth $100,000 in Orlando. I'm going to let you have it for free. It's like, no, it's a responsibility. I don't want it. I do not want the timeshare.
Well, this is what we were talking about last time with the other realtor, Meg Hayden, was there's also a dark side, too. There's, like, the thing we were talking about coercion, how some realtors who are unethical will say, hey, if you use me, I might get you, like, a free Subway gift card or something. You know?
Okay, so I think we should introduce her to what, basically, I had experience. I didn't like buying homes, and I don't hate realtors. I literally have realtors on here all the time.
I wouldn't blame you if you did. I've heard things. I've seen it firsthand, and you're dealing with people, and some are the best, and some are the worst. So.
I've had like a career of trying to find a way around or to prove them worthless, because I'm not talking about anybody personal or you. Like, you're a realtor. I'm not trying to insult your whole industry. I imagine a world where realtors don't take up a percentage of each deal, because they're basically like a in-person Google search. Okay, now keep in mind, if I'm only putting 1% of my brain into buying property, I'm not going to be thinking of all the what is the septic like? I don't have time to research all that. So that's why you have the realtor, because you're working a full-time job. You need somebody that's going to go be a professional in the area. Know, hey, by the way, notice like you have like 5 kids. They seem to crap a lot. Your septic's only good for this much poop. You're going to want a city sewer, right? So a regular guy wouldn't think of that. A regular guy that grew up in an office, in an office job, doing some insurance gig, he's not going to know about that. He doesn't even know what's the 3 things, the 3 possibilities for septic, right? It's like it could be on the street. It's the best one. You want it to just be getting a city sewer bill. That's what you want. That's what I got. You could have your own septic tank. Like, honey, it stinks outside. What is that? I don't know how it works. Let me call some construction. You know what I mean? And the other one is leach field, I believe. And
Cesspool. Those are being phased out. But there's a lot around those, too, yeah.
And you got to watch out, too. A lot of realtors or people who don't have a realtor might not realize there could be, like, asbestos or mold or something in the home that they're buying, so...
There's all kinds of those things, yeah. And some are more expensive projects to buy with the home, and some aren't, so...
Oh, why am I zoomed in so much? Look at me, look. Why am I zoomed in?
Did you
always
just
like that?
gain some weight, maybe? I don't know.
I thought it's because you were the host of the show.
Yeah, I think maybe you just got bigger.
Seemed right to me.
Yeah.
Did I just notice? Oh, these are all at 18 millimeter. Okay, that's weird. You guys are normal.
After all this.
It's okay, just, you know what? You can just zoom us all in so close, it's normal.
Yeah. Did you want to look at what
let's see. All right, so because I will go through life thinking it means something else. A fiduciary, emphasis on douche, it says? Oh, no, never mind.
It's basically you're held to a legal or ethical standard for trusting somebody else with care of their money, right? Yeah.
Okay, yes. And keep in mind, guys, in the real world, everybody has a different responsibility. It's like, well, I thought it was the best option for him. You know what I mean? So, anyway, so I love talking real estate theory, you know. What does a world without a real estate agent look like? Do we see lots of people buying homes with wetlands violations? What do we see a lot of, you think?
I don't personally. I think a world without realtors could be a possibility. I'm all about choices. I think people should always have the ability to choose where and how they want to live. If you want to rent because that works for you, then that should be your choice. But if you want to own, there should be a pathway for you, and that should be your choice. You shouldn't be limited by, certain things. And when agency is involved, I think it's something that, again, you should be able to choose. If there's a method set up where you can take a little risk and pick something off of the internet and roll the dice and buy a house and save a little money, that's how every deal goes, risk reward. So you have to choose.
It's all a gamble.
It should be your choice. And as a realtor, I'm presenting my clients with as much information as possible, letting them know what the result of each choice we make would be, and then ultimately letting them make the best choice for their decision. And to be able to do that, we're doing a lot of research. It's like King Phillips War ADHD hole. We're going down, we're looking up deeds and tax records and past listings, calling agents if we know them. We're finding out everything we possibly can. We're up at night. So for that, we can't be in business if we don't ask for a certain percentage of what the cost would be to cover our costs and our time. We would be out of business.
Yes, we're not going to get into it. Go ahead, say.
Well, when the market is tough like it is right now, how do you still maintain a full career out of this type of a job?
A lot of agents can't. A lot drop out. You hear that a lot. And I think, unfortunately, you probably have a lot of agents that are dropping out that might have been really fantastic ethical agents. And because of those reasons, they maybe take a discount on their pay and maybe wouldn't do unscrupulous things to get the business and the money that might keep them in business. But that's certainly not always the case.
Where would you suggest getting the clients in this kind of a market right now? Like if people really just don't want to sell and you're trying to get new clients?
Well, I'm the worst person to ask for that because I don't like to pressure anyone. My brand is always no pressure ever. I'm just going to give you information and opportunities. If I see an opportunity I think might be good for you, it would be in our best interest to present it, and if it's not for you, then no pressure ever. But I do like to look for opportunities that would be beneficial for both parties. And if I have someone that's looking for a lake house that they want to, do a flip on, and I'm looking up lake houses where maybe someone has a second property they're not using, someone has a property where, it might be in their best interest to sell. I can look up their information, give them a call, an email, send a letter, and say, I have an interested party, and if it's in your best interest and my best interest, maybe we can make a deal work. So sometimes finding sellers comes from having a buyer that I can't find inventory for. So I start to look and get creative.
See, you're saying you have agents, but I have agents. That what she's talking about, guys, is... I can't believe I know about this, but they just changed the buying realtor laws. So, before, like, I bought a home right before they changed it. The buying realtor gets a couple % of the sale of a home. Same thing with the selling realtor. That's why I thought if I go up to a home and I go, I'm unrepresented, guys, I'm fresh meat, the seller goes, yahoo, we got to sell to this guy, because they double their percentage. They keep their transaction facilitator. So you know what that is, right? Transaction facilitator means that they handle both parties, but they have fiduciary responsibilities to the people with the home, right? So it's like, just picture the realtor that has the people with the home. She's like this, and they got all their swords and guns behind them, and then you're there like trying to break in, right? So it's not that extreme, but you know what I mean. It just, well, if you buy without being represented, the realtors like it because they make a little more money. The one realtor associated. Now that the rule changed, realtors can, I believe, a few options. They can charge, which is unpopular, charge by the offer. Like, say, give me $1,000 if I make an offer. They could charge by the hour. Like, I was on the computer for this many hours, like $50 an hour. Or is there a third option? I'm not sure what.
There's a million options because it's completely negotiable. And to elaborate on what you were saying, it's not much has changed other than transparency and making sure that everything is in writing about where agents' compensation is coming from. In practicality, out there in the field, not much is actually changing other than disclosure. So I'm happy to see that, because I was first afraid that this would disenfranchise buyers who maybe didn't have enough money in their account to pay their own agent for their first time home. But that's not what we're seeing happening. It's kind of exactly what was happening before, where ultimately the seller of the home is agreeing to pay a percentage of the buyer's money, the buyer's offer that's coming from the buyer back to pay their agent. So traditionally, the listing agent would say, seller, I can do everything that you've asked me to do, sell your house for top dollar in a short period of time, and to do all of that, my costs, my time, this percentage would cover it, and that percentage also includes attracting and paying a qualified buyer's agent who is vetting their clients and not going to waste our time. And they would agree to that. And the lawsuit came about because it was floated that the sellers should not be paying the buyer's agent to work against them. The sellers shouldn't be paying their money for the buyer's agent. I would argue every single time it's not the seller's money that's going back to the buyer's agent, it's the buyer's money. The buyer is bringing it to the table, and to be able to offer that and have the seller pay their agent is almost like rolling it into their mortgage rather than having the money at the table, which is a lot harder for a lot of buyers to come up with.
So agents, what she means by that is, like, I always try to just summarize it in a way everybody can understand. All right, so somebody buys a home, the person with the home that's selling it, they say, all right, we have to pay both realtors like 2% or whatever, right? And they say, oh, well, it's coming out of the seller's pocket, but it's really not, because the seller knows they have to pay that money already, so they just want the home to sell for that extra 10 grand or whatever to cover that. So, did I get that right? That's right.
And the money that they're agreeing to pay back to the buyer's agent is coming from the buyer's offer. It's coming from the buyer's bank. It's coming from the buyer's lender that they're on the hook for the mortgage for. So essentially the seller's agreeing to pay a portion of what the buyer is paying them for their home back to their own agent so that they don't have to bring that cash to the table. But it's the buyer's money.
I feel like a buying agent's wet dream is when they find a young kid that's like, hey, I just saw a house, I want to buy it, I need someone to put an offer in for me. They're like, oh great, I don't have to drive to a million locations for them to go, yeah, I don't like it, and my wife doesn't like the color countertop. So is that what a buying agent wants?
It's always easier for a buyer's agent to not do 100 showings and go through that, but I've been through young buyers before, and if you're an agent who's going into this and you want to do the right thing and you want to protect everybody, that young buyer scares the crap out of you sometimes, and they might want to waive inspections and they might want to do anything to get the house, and you want to protect them while still honoring their wishes. That can be an anxiety-filled place as a realtor, but you do the best you can with giving them all the information and letting them make their own decisions.
Hold that thought.
Or like a mega investment group to buy houses in this sort of environment. So
we just start again, folks. So yeah, basically what we're looking at, everybody, is that the NAR, which is National Association of Realtor, they had this lawsuit. If you ever get into the specifics, it's like 10 podcasts about how this actually works. But, we're just talking about, this is just a rule that changed recently, guys. A few years ago, your realtor got paid a percentage. Now they're like an independent, that's not called, what is it called? Like
independent contractor. And it can be a percentage. It could be a flat fee, not a fat flea.
A fat flea.
It's like
she purchases seashells by the bay. Well, how's it go? What's that thing say?
Seashore.
Oh, yeah? I thought she was purchasing the shells by the bay or something like that. Anyway. So, I got... Is this recording? Okay. I got a home from 1920 with... They go, hey, kid, listen. It's got live knob and tube. You sure you want this? I was like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever. I was like, I'll I'm an electrician or whatever. I'm gonna do the homeowner special on this. So anyway, disconnect the live knob and tube. It didn't go to anything. It wasn't live. So lucked out. You didn't have to rip stuff out of the wall. There was no live knob and tube. It was all the new Romex stuff. Do you know? All right, B-Dog, I know this isn't your forte. What is live knob and tube?
That's the type of electrical wire. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember we went to the mill? So me and B-Dog did a historical mill video where you could see the two. They had like, it's tough to explain. Pull up a picture of it, but it's like the little piece of porcelain with like exposed wire going down. It didn't have a ground. It just had the neutral and the hot, and that was the early form of electricity. So you would do.
So I have my videos right here on the channel, and one of them is our view of the Stillwater Mill, which is going to be right here.
Go. I don't know if I even want people knowing the life now that it's over, but there we go.
So we actually went to the old. You should be able to see the inside right here. While I try to see
Just
if I
built
can
the
fiddle with
condos
this.
at Stillwater. I'm sure you know where that is.
Right here. All right. Well, that's the waterfall.
That's the waterfall.
While you pull that up,
I got it right here. Here it is.
and they'd be able to do all these textile things, get America moving.
That's the inside of the mill.
So I see the joists
Never
are still
been.
holding
Very
up.
cool.
And you don't remember how
You should be able to see.
That was actually the 1800s building that had a live knob and tube. I remember this day all too well. And this is something.
So that's over here.
Oh.
The lights.
telling me
Is that
there's
it?
There it is. Pause it. There it is. There.
See here, it comes closer.
I'm
I'm seeing that both the floors are collapsed. You can see all the way down.
This isn't illegal though. I think it's allowed to be. Okay, there we go, fellas. If you're watching this and you see that in a home, run or update it, everybody. So yeah, they had that in the mill back in the day. The last thing I want to say about real estate, because I know we're transitioning a little bit here, is that hopefully you're aware of this, but I feel like this is a great disservice to the American people here. Get Mac Daddy ready to talk about the 1920s mortgages. I talked to my neighbor that bought his home in the 70s. They were doing 15-year mortgages. Okay, I know I seem aggressive right now, but it's because I really genuinely give a shit about strangers that have to go through this. They were doing 15-year mortgages. I know the interest rate was so much higher. Yeah, I know. In the 1920s, the average, I believe, was 7.5 years, and it was from a local bank. It wasn't from a big conglomerate, okay? One last cool fact, so forget about that. If you buy modern, see how we get the wildfires going on right now?
Yeah.
Just so you know, guys, that affects your insurance, because all these companies that insure stuff in the Northeast, they have to spread out. So an insurance company covers, say, fire loss and like flood, right? So around here, they might have flood insurance, where if there's a flood here, they have all the people in California paying that don't have floods, so it keeps kind of like a happy medium. And then when there's fires in California, all the people in the Northeast don't have fires, so then they keep paying in while they're paying out to California, right? Regardless, any big hurricane or big disaster, insurance rates can go up because it affects everybody. A lot of insurance companies are national, okay? So you see the fires, you go, happy it's not me. We all pay a little bit for it. Anyway, back to the mortgages. The idea I'm trying to get out to you guys is that the mortgages used to be 7.5 years when they first came out. Then they went to 15 in the 70s. Now they're 30. And now when you go look at a home and you say, it's a little bit out of my monthly budget, they go, well, kid, you seem like you'd be into this. Do you want to try a 40-year mortgage? All right. Do you see the pattern here? They just keep extending it to make you be in debt longer and longer. So now you're going to be, 80 when you pay it off, 90? It's like, when is it going to stop? I guarantee you, in 10 years, the norm could be a 40-year mortgage. And then they're going to be offering kids a 50-year mortgage. I cannot fathom selling an 18-year-old a 40-year plan. That's more than a child. A kid's in like an 18-year mortgage. You can't give somebody a 40-year mortgage because then so this is what it does, guys. If you get the 40-year mortgage, you look at
4 decades to pay it off.
Yeah. Some nice house that's $400,000. Me and B-Dog have the same job, so we offer $400,000. He wants to beat us out of it. We're doing a 30-year mortgage for $400,000. He can do a $450,000 mortgage for 40 years, and his monthly payment's less than us because he's doing an extendo mortgage.
And you're both still paying it for decades, so yeah.
So please stop extending the lives of these mortgages. We're all competing against each other. Like I always said, why doesn't everybody in the world for a month agree not to buy a single property? They would plummet where the landlords would go up to. They say, please, can I have a pebble of food to eat? They'll be starving to death, right? So it's like, imagine if we all ganged up and did that and really changed
Where would everyone live?
No, we just don't.
Oh, okay.
We stay where we are for a month. For a month, we
Okay.
stay where we just don't buy or sell. We
Okay.
just freeze the market. If everybody did it, but then you got that dude in the back rubbing his hands like, it went down a little bit. You know what I mean? He's going to go do it, you know? So you're not family, so you can't do it with everybody. It'd be nice if, see how the Amazon employees are striking like crazy? If everybody did that with real estate, we could do whatever you wanted if everybody could work along with it, you know? But anyway, we're talking about historical homes. Did I interrupt one of you guys? Who's talking? Was somebody talking?
No, I think that's a good point. And if I can just put on my tinfoil conspiracy hat for a second, when you're talking about 40-year mortgages, I haven't seen them yet.
They're coming.
But it lends to this suspicion that I have, this deep-seated suspicion that's a little bit conspiracy theorist, that it feels like there's a push towards permanent renting and rentership rather than ownership, and kind of convincing the next couple of generations that there's no path to home ownership for them, and then they should just make peace with renting, and that's it.
It makes renting more appealing because you'd basically be paying the same or a little bit less while renting. So it's like home ownership goes out the window. So now who owns all the property? Was it a big Walmart conglomerate or something, or a government? Who knows? But yeah, home ownership is, we're going through a stage where it's down a bit. People thought the world was going to end when other stuff was on the downcline. The population went down and went back up. You know what I mean? So who knows? I'm sure there's people that want this. I'm sure there's some government elitists that want us to not own homes.
Yes.
But there's some that also do want us to own homes. You know what I mean? You can't.
Me.
Not all the same. But so we are all interested in this cool historical fact about homes. First of all, before we get into this, how's temperature, everybody? How's temperature?
All good.
It's good. Okay.
Did you need any call-ins from any callers?
Oh,
or?
yes, I forgot about that. Could you ask, you have,
I have a caller.
Mac Daddy called in?
Yeah.
Ask Mac Daddy about what the mortgage loans were like in the 1920s or whatever. You know, get him talking.
Let's see.
Well, also, this was right during the Depression, and home builds, I mean, they starkly declined. So right after the Depression, we had lack of inventory, kind of like we're seeing now. And then you had World War II, where you're expecting all these soldiers to come home and everybody that's worked overseas for the war. And we need houses for these people. So then there was a mass push to build again. And that's when you see the resurgence of revivals like colonial revivals, the earliest colonial colonial revivals like Cape Cod's. But we were seeing that before because of what we went through with the Depression. So it's kind of interesting to see parallels with what's going on right now.
Yeah. Ask Mike Daddy, is it a government conspiracy that keep making the mortgages longer? I don't know. You know how to talk to him.
Caller, you're on the air. Why don't you introduce yourself? We have a question for you.
All right, Paula, the stage is yours. Tell us who you are, and let's hear what this question is all about.
No, we have a question for you, Mac Daddy. What's going on?
All right, hit me with it. What's the question, my friend?
What were mortgages like back in the 1920s?
Mortgages in the 1920s were wild compared to today. Back then, they usually required a huge down payment, like 50% of the home's price, and they were short-term, lasting only 3 to 5 years. At the end of the term, people had to pay off the remaining balance in one big lump sum, called a balloon payment. Refinancing
Stop
was
him.
common.
Hey, ask him if either Rico or Sneaky Pete bought a home in the 1920s.
Okay.
I love how Nicole doesn't even ask any questions about this, but yeah.
Hey, Mac Daddy, you want to tell me about if anyone in your crew, like Rico or Sneaky Pete, bought a home back in the 20s and what happened when they did it?
Oh man, if Rico or Sneaky Pete were around buying homes in the 20s, you know they'd turn that shit into a circus. Rico would probably hustle up the 50% down payment by running some shady bootlegging gig, and Sneaky Pete would sweet talk the bank into giving him a better interest rate. But when that balloon payment hit after 5 years, you know Pete would be scrambling to refinance, probably pulling one of his disappear and reappear with a new identity moves. Rico, he'd likely try to flip the house before the payment was due, only to get caught up in some wild scheme. Those two would turn the simplest home buying process into pure chaos.
Thank you, Mag Daddy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So anyway, speaking
That's how it would work, right?
What date ranges was the witch chimneys and the witch stairs? Actually, I'm more interested in the witch stairs right now. Can you show me? Was it the witch stairs are the ones that lead to nowhere, or the ones that's like the double steps that don't make sense?
That don't make sense.
Get
the
on
most impractical
Get on
design.
that Chromebook. Get on that
Yeah, they're right
Chromebook,
here.
buddy. Yeah. So, look at how uncomfortable this looks, folks. Agents at home, you gotta see this.
So these are the witch's stairs right here.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've seen these before.
That looks modern. There's
Yeah.
obviously 1600. I mean, I guess if you're a pagan nowadays and you want to do that, if you believe in that stuff, you can build them like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, get us a good picture of witch's stairs. So there was a witch's stairs, and witch's chimney. So I'm
And windows.
I didn't know about the window.
I've seen the window. Here's the stairs. Oh yeah, I have seen these before.
Okay, so that's like a famous picture of it right there. I remember seeing this. Let's see.
Right there.
Yeah, it's like left foot, right foot.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the witch is smart enough to bust into your house and she's gonna suck your blood, but she gets to this, she just bonks herself on the head and runs out on the broom. And also this thing, you realize historically we have a definition of a witch. I'm trying to wonder. Back in the day, I'm not sure what century this was. Was it the 16s or 17s? I think it was the 1600s. When was this? I don't even know.
I think we're talking 17th century builds, based off of 16th and 17th century horror and trauma.
I'm trying to think if it seems silly to us. Was their definition of a witch different? Was it like a religious demon? Because you gotta realize they write this stuff down, but definitions change over time. Like nobody knew what skibbity toilet was a few years ago, but you have kids, right? So you know what skibbity toilet is?
No.
Oh, well, you guys listen. You might know. The words come and go and they change meaning.
Correct.
So I'm trying to think with these people weren't they're like the DNA's the same, guys. Like, they're the same as us. We're just separated by a few hundred years. Okay. What is he pulling up? Let's see.
Nothing to do with that. I'm sorry.
The nervous laugh. Okay.
We're still doing the witch's
So
stairs.
what I want to say is right here, what we were talking about before when we talked to you guys. Right here in Cumberland, we have the oldest war memorial in the United States. Now, keep in mind, this is I'm going to break the internet right here. This is debatable because when that war monument happened, they were the English. It was before the Revolutionary War. So, well, okay, I guess it's not an that
It
really
wasn't
shouldn't be an
in
American
America,
war.
yeah.
That wasn't an American war monument because we're all of us are wizards at the King Phillips War here, and that was in Cumberland at the monastery. There was 9 men that were horrifically killed and mutilated by the Native Americans. I believe that was.
This is
the
place right
One
here.
got away, yeah.
And
One guy ran to tell the tale.
Right here, you can see we're actually at the monument here. This is the spot at night.
B-Dog, that ghost hunt worried me for months. I did not.
Energy.
After that.
That's it right there. Yep.
We got fresh flowers up
Yeah,
here,
it's
so we
B-Dog,
put
everybody.
recently.
That's what B-Dog looks like in the cold.
Alright, guys, so we're
Yeah.
gonna use
It was
ChatGPT as
not
the,
even cold that day compared to today.
For,
that was not
Today's
that
was-
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought November was bad.
talk with my,
So anyway,
Yeah.
oldest
medium,
war. I guess
That's
they
it.
can. The wording's important. Oldest war memorial. But let me just tell everybody about. You and I will do a thing. I'll say why I got into this. I started getting in. All right, you're not gonna believe this. I'm gonna try to make this quick. I know I can talk forever. The reason I got into King Phillips War was because I saw a woman in Lowe's with blue hair. You're not going. I didn't talk to her. I had it in my own head. I thought to myself. I said, she just got recently died. It's bright blue hair. I was like, like people do that now. I said, if her great grandmother saw her, and they're saying, hey, your great grandchild is going to look like this in Lowe's, whatever that may be, she'd say, oh my God, kill me now. I can't believe it. But if that great grandmother lived in 2025, she might have blue hair. What changed? The DNA is the same. What do I mean by that? We are the same people, but what do we change by a bit of a percentage? We're the same exact people making the same decisions that we were 400 years ago. What changes is the things around you, right? Like, so why do you like the blue hair? I don't think that people sometimes even like it physically. Like, I don't have an issue with blue hair. I think that if you have the blue hair, you might like it for what it brings around you. Like, I have a stepdad that likes Corvettes, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like the philosopher dick. I'm like, why do you like the Corvette? Because I like vans, not the shoes. I like cars, a van. I love the utility of it. I think they look the best. If everybody had a van, I don't think I'd like vans. The reason you like a Corvette is because it's associated with the rock and roll. It's associated with the Sunday drives your father went on with you. They're a pain in the ass. They're expensive. Why do you like them? You have to protect it like it's a small child. It's not fun to have a Corvette because once in a while, once a month, you might open up a little bit. There's faster. Electric car now is faster than a Corvette. Why do you want the Corvette? It's because of what it is. You can take it to a car show. You get the worship for the Corvette. I think that's what it is with like these fads, dyeing your hair. In the 1950s, men liked women with thick thighs. Look at a 2000s rap video. All the girls are so thin, no ass, little flat jeans and shit. Like, so the men's taste in women change. Like these men will marry these women, have babies with them based on a fad. But it's like I think they really do feel it just because. I think that you just change with what's around you. So. I think I like the van because nobody has the van I have.
Okay, but you said this has to do with King Phillips War, though.
So that's when I started. Oh, that's what started.
Yeah.
Then, so after that, I realized they go, in the Declaration of Independence, it was signed. All those guys were like 18 years old. Like, what?
Most
I was
of
like,
them were young,
I bought my home when I was like 29 or something, or 28. I go, I was older than all those guys that made the Declaration of Independence. They always looked old because they were wearing the wigs. I thought they were all old. I go,
They
maybe.
went through a lot.
So that's why I said,
You know why they would wear those wigs, Nick?
yeah, I know that the pubes and the lice and stuff, or they get the festris disease. I know about it.
Yep. Mhm.
But so the idea was, sorry, I went on that rant. You guys gotta use the lights. Come on, you use the lights. The idea was, we are actually the same as we were hundreds of years ago. If I was the kid that came over on the boat and was signing that thing, I would have the same values, or I would have values based on living then. I wouldn't be if I lived in the South in the what year was the Civil War?
1860s.
Dude, you're telling me I wouldn't be fighting for? We need the slaves. You know what I mean? Of course, I think I would. Yeah. What are you thinking? Well, no. When you're mobile realtoring, it's difficult. Yeah. So what?
Okay.
All right. So guys. So agents, what I was saying is that I'm going to get off this fact, but I love talking about it. I believe definitions change over time, and I believe people's psychology change over time. any of you guys, if you lived in the South in the 1700s, I guarantee you'd be able to tell me a wicked racist thing talking about the Civil War. It's just because of where you grew up, guys. If you grew up in China, you'd like that type of music. You grew up here in the 80s, so you like rock and roll. It's just the stuff that you grow up with makes you like different things, okay? It's like not a part of your soul. It's something that's around you.
And I remember, too, actually, what I wanted to say about that
What's up?
was this leads into what we're talking about with King Phillips War, is that they had an attitude back then, like an ideology called manifest destiny, where they felt that it was their destiny by God that they had to reach the other coast of the U.S., so they had to take over. Like, that land was theirs, and the natives were just in the way.
Cool.
Basically.
Let's give people a brief description. We'll all scramble around, but I do know that they had two. At the very, very beginning, England, we have the Puritans want land where they can freely practice their religion. They actually went to the Netherlands first, went back to England, 2 ships. There was wait, was that? That wasn't was it the Mayflower? No, that was a different
There was
thing.
the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Okay, this was
that
the
was
first,
the Columbus.
the very first one where
the Mayflower was with the 1690. No, that was when they hit the Plymouth Rock. That was the Mayflower.
That is the Puritans. Yes,
Yep.
correct.
So
there
that's
were
yes.
expeditions before in Jamestown.
Yep.
We'll get into
Virginia, Jamestown,
Smith
Virginia.
and Pocahontas and all that, but that was earlier. And those colonies didn't.
They failed.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were either taken over by the natives or they don't know where they could have went.
Well, the coolest fact ever. The coolest fact. Camera racing.
Man, what is going on right now? Everything's
Moving on.
falling apart.
Oh, it's that one, Beto. Press the
Okay.
back of it. You're good. I forget the 20 minutes was up.
I looked almost like a Greek god there for a second.
It's the good hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, you might be getting that cut soon.
I was thinking about it. I don't know. What do you think?
I have boys with long
Yeah.
hair, and they wouldn't let me dare take them
Yeah.
to the.
I haven't cut it in like almost a year now. So
just so you get, nobody knows about this because I went back and I read the journals of the people also from England involved with this. The very first interaction natives had. You talking about the French guy? What are you talking about? It's probably a whole different thing. The Vikings, right? You talking about? What are you talking
No, you go. This is good.
Okay. The very first New England interaction, besides the Vikings in wherever, Greenland and Maine,
Newfoundland, when the Vikings.
French ships used to show up on the shore of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and they would just trade. No, that's not important. They would just trade with natives, but it was always a hit or miss. You don't know what would happen. And the natives most likely traded with them. One time they raided the ship and they kept 2 French captives, and they would keep them naked as pets. One guy died, and the other guy they kept alive for a few years. They all got smallpox from this guy. They literally, this guy spread it across the continent. It's an unknown French sailor. When a French ship came back a couple years later, or it was either a year or a couple years later, they gave the French guy back. They says, we don't want him. He's got a demon in him, because they all got smallpox, which obliterated their population. We all know about smallpox. That's actually how the natives first got smallpox. Keep in mind, yes, then later on with the Pilgrim colony, but that was the very first instance of smallpox there, and they recorded the French guy coming back on the ship naked. They held him for a year or whatever.
I
As like a
suppose they
pet.
didn't just kill him. That's crazy. But
I think there was some times where the natives weren't ultimately brutal. Like Mary Rowlandson did not mention getting raped. I thought all 20-year-olds natives, hundreds of them, and one of her, I was like, you don't know, but she didn't mention it. Maybe she didn't want to mention it if it did happen, or maybe it probably did not happen. She didn't talk about it. So there's times where they weren't brutal. There's times where they scalped people. They killed kids. It was all different.
Here's something too that you don't realize, that the natives didn't have horses until the Europeans came.
Yes.
You always see them on horses in the Wild West movies, but they didn't have them prior to the Europeans. And they also would breed the horses in a place called Sable Island off the coast of Canada. It was a stopover in Europe where horses still exist there. I can look that up actually.
Yeah. What were you thinking,
That
Nicole?
makes sense. It's also worth mentioning. You're right. It wasn't indicative, historically documented, that was part of the indigenous people's culture to rape and scalp. But it had been documented as early as the the Ottoman and Turkish War, that the soldiers were scalping the Turks, and Turks' heads were something that was collected, and you would get a bounty or a prize for collecting Turks' heads. Now, that could be where scalping kind of originated, is coming to this country, where it's reported that the indigenous people had learned that from the colonists and would in turn use that behavior to terrify them back. Now, that checks because of the accounts that we have from the Turk and Ottoman War, which I'm not a expert on by any means, but it's interesting to think about the Turk's Head building in Providence and why that might have gotten its name.
Yes.
Well, the Turks also were very, they were, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but like the Germans, they wanted to conquer. Like they were genocidal people, basically. There was the Armenian genocide that happened between them, and yeah, they were rough people for sure.
And John Smith had the famous story that had such parallels to the Pocahontas story, which led people to believe he was full of crap with that version, because it originated with him saying the same story when he was prisoner during that war, where a princess had saved him from being killed by someone. You know, John Smith. Maybe he was full of crap.
It seems a lot of these legends that we can't really prove firsthand could have origins anywhere. Like they say that the story of Jesus is very similar to the story of Horus from ancient Egypt and all that. So I've heard that like a lot of them like float around through history. So
what is so? Anybody got any cool, interesting facts about King Phillips War we want to talk about? I mean, if I do the interview, it's just another rant. So, Nicole, give us a quick a quick overview of what King Phillips War was. So we live here in New England. So King Phillips War was what?
Well, I should start with the complete disclaimer of letting everyone know that I am a professional realtor, armchair historian. No one here today is going to get a proper lesson on history, just really a story on my take of how things went down as a Rhode Islander's perspective. Okay. So,
but being a realtor, you would have to know this stuff, because if someone has property that happened where this occurred, it could affect a lot of things with the home.
In
right?
a perfect world, and I wish that we all had historical context to bring to our clients about the land and the houses. But I hope I meet more of them out there. Because I think it's important. It gives value to your property and your home.
If I were to give an overview, I would actually say King Phillips War was 1620. What's up, buddy?
Read this while you're talking about it, because I have this right here for you.
I love the philosophy of these things. Okay,
me too.
Conflict between the Native Americans and English colonists in New England from 1675 to 1676. The last-ditch effort of the Native Americans to stop English settlement on their lands.
Metacong was the chief who was leading the the Native side.
Yes, Metacom ended up going to war with the English, and his father, Massasoit, was actually having great relationships with the English.
So, Simiquan,
Well, so the Metacom figure here, though, they named him King Philip, which is why it's called King Philip's War. He was the leader of the native tribes, and the English named him King Philip, I believe, because they couldn't pronounce the name correctly at Metacom, so it was their way of...
Imagine telling somebody 400 years ago you have to pronounce this funny word, no, you know what I mean? These people came over here for religion, yet they killed women and children in the Great Swamp. Like, we came here for religion, to be Puritan religious, but, the native children would kill, Realize that this gets so political now because some Native Americans still alive, and our skin color may be white, although we're not English. Like, it's still like, don't want to talk to me. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be careful here. But just an overview, guys. It's like with any war going on right now. Everybody has blood on their hands. There's no rights and no wrongs here. Everybody that was in that situation would have done that. Everybody who was a native would have defended the land. Everybody would have just done what was happening at that time.
You want to support your tribe.
Yeah, it was just, that's what happens when there's a new land grab. Like, if we go to Mars, there's a land grab there. There's going to be a little war there, you know what I mean?
There will be wars on Mars. That's going to happen.
So anyway, we only really know what the English wrote down. The natives didn't have any written things going on.
Not a lot.
Very, very little. But they even have oral tradition now. There is a small reservation down South County. They have a small Narragansett reservation actually, where they have Narragansett people living today. I did not know that. So I'm really good at putting in facts and stuff. Does anybody want to give overview? Do you guys want me to take it? Or
I know
thinking?
the geography of certain places. I know that there was Nine Men's Misery that happened in Cumberland, at the monastery, that area. There's also there was a place where he was killed, King Philip or Metacomet, that was at Mount Hope, right, that area. And then in Norton, there's also King Philip's Cave, which is supposed to be the cave that he hid out in, I guess, for a night to try to hide from the English.
He hid a lot of times. He was really good at hiding and running away in swamps.
Great swamp, yep.
That's just a fact.
Here's some cool facts: is that the war was started with a native killing a native and ended with a native killing a native. It started when they killed John Sassaman, and then those men went on trial, right?
We don't know who killed Sassaman. That's still up for debate.
We don't know officially. Let me give agents that don't know. I'm going to give a brief description. I know I could make this 20 minutes. I'm going to try to do it in 2 minutes. Ready? English come to America, 1620. By 1675, the war breaks out because they are fighting over land where the English want their animals to graze, and the natives don't really have a lot of land ownership ideas. So they want to be able to, if the cow comes over to their native area, they want to be able to kill the cow and eat it. It's wild game to them. Nobody's in the right or wrong. Like the English are settling there. The natives are already there. Natives are selling land to English. English give them brandy. They make wonky land deals because the natives they don't have the. This is a whole other thing, but the DNA where it's easy to become an alcoholic because they've never experienced it in their bloodline ever. So they would coerce them with brandy and liquor, and they would sell land. But you got to realize these natives are actually signing these things that they couldn't read. They would be explained, and sometimes the praying Indians, aka Indians that have converted to Puritanism or whatever religion that was exactly, would describe it to them what it says. Sometimes they would lie and stuff like that. And so anyway, land's being sold, and they're fighting about English expansion. Is all this war is about. Do English keep expanding? If the English win, they are taking the whole continent, which is what they did. If the natives win, they genocide the English, at least for this decade, you know what I mean? So it seriously is like a life or death thing. They left England with like a 50% chance of living to come here. So just like a brief overview, they first landed in 1620, but many ships have come from then. So these aren't direct descendants of the people that came. They are not direct descendants of the people that came in 1620. This is 50 years later. Some of them, like the crazy fact, one of the snipers that sniped with an 8-foot, you can look it up, not now, but you guys at home can look it up. They had an 8-foot long rifle, and they sniped a native that was hollering on top of a rock every night. They ended up waiting for him and sniping him from a half-mile away or something with a musket, and they got him. And that guy was a direct descendant of a guy on the first ship that came over. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a Mayflower or not, but I know that.
Well, the Mayflower was
a couple of them.
No, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Centimere was Columbus. That was.
Yeah.
All right. So good. Good thing we corrected that. Yeah. When the ships, I'm going to let you talk in a second. But when the ships were coming over here, there was 2 ships. The one that actually landed in 1620, and the other one was the Speedwell. The captain of the Speedwell kept getting out to sea a few miles and saying the ship had a problem and turning around because he knew if they go across the Atlantic, they're not going to be doing very well. There's a small chance of surviving. He was very scared, and that guy stayed in England. He never went. And he was right. More than 50% of the people that landed in 1620 died.
Oh, yeah.
No family. I think one family stayed intact. All the other families got broken up.
So the big reason why they would send out fleets of ships back then was because they knew that probably half of them would be taken out. So they would send out 5 ships and hope one would get back, basically.
Why did you get into understanding the war or knowing about the wars? Because you realize that you live around these historical markers here, or what got you into it?
Yeah, well, the histories of the markers were always curious to me. I'm a very curious person, but anything that is kind of not brought to my attention by omission, almost deliberately, I'm even more interested in. So the fact that this should have been such obvious history to me as a New Englander and was not, was kind of like a moth to a flame. What's going on here?
It's always good to learn about the history that they don't want you to know about, the hidden history that they're trying to suppress.
And the way history was taught to at least me in school growing up didn't really make much sense. It was memorization of facts and dates and events, but it's hard to remember that because it's not strung together in a story that would make sense to you in a way that you would remember. And that's because there's things that are left out that would help you remember and make sense of the entire story. And when I went back to kind of re-look at American history specifically, it only goes back to a certain year, and then it's very hard to find information. And that's because before that, we're getting into King Phillips War, and we're getting into the dirty. So it's interesting history. And like you said, you can't look at it through the lens of your morality from today. You really have to just be an observer of history and the facts, and ultimately the story will play out a lot cleaner for you if you do.
I think a big problem why a lot of this history is fragmented or sanitized is because people are looking at it from today's standards. It's like, oh, we can't talk about that, and then they cut it out. So
there was a piece of property after getting into the war, and then looking up the different battles around here, saying what's the nearest battle, and I realized that there was a piece of property that me and people I know would spend time at. We didn't know it was legitimately right at a historical battlefield, right? Turns out, here's the fact I want to tell you guys. Either myself or somebody I know, don't ask why or how, this sounds crazy, was meditating next to the battlefield, not knowing it was a battlefield. And all they heard, which was startling to them, was a sound of screaming Native Americans, like the classical thing, I guess. I mean, maybe
a battle cry.
A battle cry of Native Americans. We're realizing it was at the battlefield in the exact spot, and right over there, it was the battle of the second battle of Nipsichuck Hill.
Yeah.
Which was, just think about this. I guess the Pequot natives, which right now, hey, Pequot got along with the English, right? They have a casino right now in Connecticut. That's the Pequot.
Yeah, the Mohegan as well.
Yeah, the Mohegan and Pequot have casinos. I owned a piece of machinery that has a stamp that says Mashantucket Pequot Tribe on it. They're still around today because they got along with the English. So, anyway, the battle here, just to give an idea, I read the Mary Rowlandson book, and I read some of the accounts. These people don't really describe it too well. They don't say, we have this idea of the natives. They just give facts. So you have to read between the lines. You have to really dig for these guys to see what it was really like. What happened was, it was the only time they used cavalry in the war. So this was Connecticut. The English in Connecticut teamed up with the Pequot, and they went to Nipsichuck Hill and raided a village mostly of women and children. They massacred them, okay? Keep in mind all the battles before this. Is English towns get raided, they get massacred. Everybody loses their morality once that happens, right? Once somebody attacks your side, they lose it all. But yeah, it was a massacre there, right, in the swamp. And there was hundreds, I believe, over 100 deaths there, and around 70 of them taken as slaves or prisoners. So it really, and there is a marker there now. Just in the last 10 years, they put a marker there. I went there with the historian. He's the one that put the marker up. Like, I'm pretty involved in this spot right here, and it's public access. You guys can go to it. I don't want to. I think you have to cross over a little bit of private property to get there, so I don't want to give anybody the go to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's there. It's the second. You can look it up. There's a huge 300-page report on that second battle, Nipsichuck Hill. There's nothing to really see there. It's just a marker, and it's like you can see the swamp. And yep, that's the swamp. Everything's going on. They found horseshoes and musket balls and stuff. But
so,
yeah.
Well, you had mentioned about the chants, the war cries that this person heard when they were meditating. You think it could be related to the legend of the Pukwudgies that we were going to talk about?
All right, so I see what you're doing. I don't think it's I don't think it's definitely not related. Okay. But other lore we have here in New England is, if you drive by a certain street in Freetown State Forest in Mass, they have a sign that says Pukwudgie Crossing. And I was like, what is this, some kids' book club or something? So I Googled it, and it shows this little gremlin. Let me see if he might already have it pulled up, guys. We're going to switch to the laptop. Let's see.
So this is what it is right here. It's a human-like creature from the Wampanoag folklore, which is interesting. So the Wampanoag tribe not only was in Massachusetts, but also in Indiana, Prince Edward Island, Canada, Delaware.
Yeah, so look at the... try to find
an image of it.
Yeah, the image of it is funny. I mean, some dude...
that's it right there.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about, the little mischievous guys. Yep. I like this... Look at yeah, I know, that's a far-fetched one.
Yeah, okay. So.
I mean, but this is the thing, guys. It's like... This isn't Lord of... This isn't Lord of the Rings. Like, these people existed.
Be cool if it was.
Yeah.
These people really existed that really would spread word that there are Pukwudgies in Freetown State Forest. That, like, if we were alive 300 years ago, we could talk to them and feel them. They're real people. It's not a joke. Like, this war happened, right? Mm-hmm. When this happened, this was the biggest deal ever that happened.
Yeah.
why did they have these things and give them a name and it still exists today? Literally 400 years later, there's a sign, modern sign, that's up there right now. You can go see. These people were talking about this 400 years ago. Did they actually see this stuff? Was it in their dreams? Were they taking mushrooms and seeing it? Like, how this happened? They didn't pull out of their ass. Like, what's going on?
Well, the natives, some of them would take hallucinogens and they would see them. They thought they were spirits, basically. The peace pipe was usually filled with a super strong tobacco that would make them hallucinate. And they would see entities that don't exist.
Yeah, you got to realize, guys, even cow patties will have the, I don't know if it's the Amanita muscaria, but they'll have, you don't want to give kids an idea, but if you can find cow patties a lot of the time in the right season, they're going to have those mushrooms coming out of them. And you're telling me that throughout history nobody ever took those and
of course they did. The Amanita muscaria has been used for thousands of years all over the world. I think it grows in any, like, the temperate cold climate. They were eating them to see the spirits. There was the psilocybin in Mexico. There's DMT in the South. They all had their own little individual substance that would take them out. Alcohol in the Middle East, even. The name alcohol is actually an Arabic word. Yeah, it means something to burn.
How did you? See, he told me about that in another episode. How did you know about that? I didn't know anything about. How did you know about that? The linguists of that type of stuff.
I don't know. I like to know the origins of certain words, like which words come from Latin. Because the etymology. Because sometimes when you don't know what a word is, it helps to just harken back to that root word and maybe get an idea of what it means based off of that. So, again, not an expert, just know enough to maybe make some educated guesses, and I'm not afraid of being wrong.
Yeah. Well, you're going to like this, because I'm somewhat of this is called anthropology, and I think anthropology is not cool, right, Ray? I think it's not cool, huh? Did you know, and we just went over this I'm going to bring out the Finnish again, listen to any very cold climate's language. They don't sound similar, but they're all the same way. You don't have to move your mouth a lot when it's a cold climate. You already know the answer to this. Could Nicole try to figure out the answer? And why in cold climates do they not have to move their mouth a lot when they pronounce their language correctly? Think about Russian. Ready? I'll do gibberish Russian. Bilat, delicious. No, that's Portuguese. It's delicious is Portuguese, but Russian is right? So they're speaking from the throat. Finnish. Right? Go look up, like, you think I sound funny? Go look up Finnish. It sounds just like that. Finnish and Estonian.
I have no context to go off of, so I believe
what's like some Egyptian words like Ak or Tutankhamen, right? You have to move your mouth a lot. Those are all very
Spanish,
warm.
how much it flows up the tongue.
Well, why Spanish and Italian get so many vowels in it?
Those Romance languages and there.
Here's an interesting thing,
Whoa. The point was that the environment, it's cold today, right?
Freezing.
Go outside, get your face cold, and try to pronounce the warm languages. You can't, because the blood goes out of your cheeks, you can't move it fast. You cannot pronounce the Egyptian languages and the Roman languages well with the cold face. All those Russian, Finnish, it's all developed to be able to speak in the cold. Those languages were spoken in military,
very harsh.
Harsh weather, trying to yell to somebody a mile away. You can't pronounce it right. It develops. That's why they all talk from the throat.
Ukrainian is harsh as hell sounding.
Yeah, especially Ukrainian. So I like to call it that might not even be anthropology. I don't know, but I call that anthropology, where it's how does a person's development affected by their environment and effects over time, like how the Kenyans always mate with the really tall skeleton looking guy, and then they just get, like South Sudan, they're wicked tall, they just whole spit glob on maybe saw that, but anyway, so it's like things change over time based on what's going on, you know what I mean? Like eventually since the podcasters are so famous now, we're all going to be having millions of babies and everybody's going to become from podcasters, right? Because how famous we are. You know, even though I go to a Catholic church, it's a Roman Catholic church.
Their influence was so huge.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Have I said this yet? But it's like, you do know that there's French and English people going there, right? It's a Roman Catholic church. What do you think happened 1,000 years ago? All those people got pillaged and raped, and they're still practicing. It's like, wouldn't you want to get rid? Yeah, why? What?
When I was in Israel, there was Roman ruins there, still like you can see the pillars,
Oh,
the old Roman
really?
road. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Have you? I haven't done any traveling. Have you traveled at all? Have you go out of the country or anything? Like I don't go. I don't leave the country at all. I think I might have left it once or twice.
I've left the country for some nice beaches. Nothing I can really hang my
I've been
history
around.
knowledge on.
Yeah, he used to work in. Did you?
I used to work for a travel agency, and I've been around. Yeah, so
That sounds great.
yeah, and I've been to Poland, Israel, Spain, Portugal. Been out to San Diego, been to Florida a bunch of times. New Orleans, Louisiana, Colorado. I've been out there. Yeah, so.
So you're traveled. You're well traveled, they would say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I've been around.
after watching Locked Up Abroad, and you realize
you
that
gotta be
if
careful.
your country isn't laked by the country you're in, they'll just take you just to screw the other country over. There's not like you don't have the same laws there. If you're not a like, listen. I went to the Bahamas once. You know what I mean? Like, you know what culture shock is? Like, yo, buy the cigar now. Like that's how they talk to you. I'm like, I don't listen. I couldn't. I don't like it. Like then you want to rent the moped, but they drive on the other side of the road. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean?
I thought I was going off a cliff. Yeah.
I do not like. I don't know if anybody you guys ever went to a country where they drive on the other side, but it's like,
Yeah, I'm
oh,
good
it's
with
all
that.
different, man. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah. Anyway, we'll do closing arguments soon, but
One more thing we
yeah,
can bring up right here before that. We were
what's
talking
up?
about the puck wedgie earlier. Did we want to see that this was one of the mountainous monsters,
Whoa.
one of the lore?
All right,
I don't
let's
know if
see.
you wanted to see anything about
Yeah,
this.
All right, this is a good one. We'd like to see this. King Phillips here. You'll like this, Nicole. We've played.
We're going after West Virginia's Bigfoot tonight, the Yahoo.
Up the holler where we was at, we was hearing all kinds of different noises.
All that thumping around. Remember that rock was on the come clear down into the creek where we was at.
Oh, is
now.
that right?
Oh my God.
Boys, the hunt started.
That was close. That was real close. We just heard the Yahoo scream. It's more powerful than I ever imagined. It shook my chest.
That was definitely him at a squall, wasn't it? Climb me. Man, that Yahoo, it sounded
He's
like a
gonna fucking
locomotive
tobacco
when it
in
let
his
that
mouth.
big old squall out. Scared the living daylights out of me. Jeff, you got anything in that
As one
thermal?
does.
I don't got anything on it, but I'm telling you what. The Yahoo scream is shocking.
So, here's
We
the
just
question.
heard it.
Why do these people
terrifying.
all have these big long
That'd have
beards?
to clear the woods of every critter within a half mile of it. We're hearing noises all over the place. We know the Yahoo's here. We got to creep in.
So
We
it's
got
a
to
real
go after
show.
it.
Oh,
This is a
this
real.
is
Okay.
Easy.
Keep an eye on that thermal, Jeff.
I am.
They're trying to get
Come on down
Come get
here.
you some of this.
It's up at the top of the hill.
He's got us pinned down in this ravine, guys. We need to get up on level ground.
We just heard the Yahoo scream. We're hearing noises all around us. We got to get to higher ground now.
Let's get out of here. Let's move up.
Did you hear the scream of the Yahoo?
That was a Yahoo?
earlier.
And
there
that's
was,
a.
Just go to where the Yahoo screamed. I want to make sure she hears it.
Yeah, right here.
It got its name because that's how it sounds. Like, Yahoo! Yeah, let's get this.
Oh, is that right?
The Yahoo
Oh
scream.
my
That's
God.
the monster.
Boys, the hunt started.
Okay.
That is the monster. It just screams Yahoo. That's how it goes.
What state is this?
It's
What
West
level?
Virginia.
Okay, of course.
Yeah.
What you got, Jeff? You got thermal behind us? You just yelled behind us.
I
don't see anything.
Smoking one night and seen this or
Back
something.
on the other side. Back on the other side.
There's more than
No, I
one,
like
guys.
it, I think.
We knew there was more
New
than one
England is
Yahoo. When they
Not
started
just
working
us.
together, it was just overwhelming. Trapper, there's two. There's definitely
So
two.
this reminds me of the
Surrounded.
puck wedgie.
Let's just move forward. We'll see if that one behind us keeps following. We're going to move right through here.
But no
Hey, here's a question.
Let's
If they
swing right
have
through here.
night vision
We'll try to get him-
infrared,
Yeah.
why do they have flashlights? Isn't that going to just attract attention?
Because there's a producer up their ass saying, okay, you move here, you go down the hill, scream. What do you want me to say, boss? Just say Yahoo really loud. Like, what, Yahoo? Like, no, like, Yahoo!
But I'm saying, if
That's
you already
when-
can see with the night vision, why do you need flashlights? Wouldn't that just blow your cover?
B-Dog, maybe it's fake.
Yeah,
maybe,
I
it's,
guess.
maybe it's like unbelievably fake.
Impossible.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But yeah,
What, are you going to tell me wrestling's fake next?
Yeah, so, but anyway, is there any, I'm trying to think of any other, we get, so, are there any like KP, King Phillips
Well,
War
real quick,
facts?
we never
Is there any-
finished the,
Yeah, what did we
um,
not finish? Let's try to finish
the
up
witches,
what- if you press both buttons, it shows you all of the cabin.
Every camera.
Every so that's if
I
you
like
press
it.
both of them. I didn't know you could do that. Okay. All right. Well, what do you pull? Oh. How do
We
I see
never talked about the.
it? Oh, let me switch that for you. What's up, buddy?
You want to talk about the witch's chimney?
Oh yeah. That's how we started off. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So basically, this thing I saw a guy trying to debunk it, saying it's for the smoke to go up a certain way and it vortexes it. When they were building these, they didn't understand that stuff. So what they're trying to say is that back in the day, I mean, does anybody know about this? They believed in witches. They had to say
witch couldn't get into your house if the chimney was shaped that way or something.
So it was a crooked window, a staircase that's
window.
not straight, all this little things to throw off the witch. So
we talked about the staircase already.
Correct.
We had here's the other the leaning chimney.
Yeah, those are more common.
Have you
in
seen
New
these?
England builds? The leaning chimneys, yeah. That's from my understanding, in certain homes, just the way that they're built, that structurally makes sense, and they're usually always sound. I mean, the chimney's built hundreds of years ago, or sometimes better than what's built today. So
are you saying that it makes sense? You mean that it was built for witches, but it's built correctly, or you mean it just seems to make sense for the shape of the house? It wasn't built for witches, or what are you trying to say?
built structurally sound and will last, a time. In all of those witch builds, the stairs, the windows, that chimney, they all have the same arguments of practicality and also superstition. So if you're going to ask me, at the end of the day, I think it's probably a little bit of both. The argument of the stairs being in small builds, which the very first colonial homes were small salt box type homes, and this was supposed to save space.
So
maybe.
I see. It kind of. I see
the stairs anyway.
I thought they were designed
the
in a
windows.
way.
I can very specifically tell you the idea of a witch window. Yeah. That's completely superstitious. Okay. I don't know if that has any real origins. The truth that makes sense to me in all of history is that these people had very little material to build anything with, especially when we're talking windows that come with glass. There's no glass available here in the colonies. The glass has to come over from England on a ship. It's expensive and it might break, and that's why the first panels were little leaded glass panels, because it was safer to take them over in small, correct.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
then put them together. So it was very difficult to source materials here in the colonies and do anything. I mean, these people's hobbies were dying. So if you were going to build on top of your home and add to it, you're not going to remove that window, throw it away, and go, oh, I'll just, it doesn't fit on the second story of this home, so forget it. I'll just build a new, smaller window. Oh, no. There is no new, smaller window at Lowe's down the street. You take that window you already had and you make it fit. And if it's sideways, it's sideways. And I guess witches can't get in either. So
okay, so I finally understand what you're trying. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
All right, so we're thinking it wasn't actually built for witches. It was that the construction had so many constraints on it. They did these weird things where now back in the day it seemed like, oh, they might have been trying to keep out witches, but it was just because they had construction constraints is what you're thinking it was, right?
Lack of materials, lack of space, and extremely religious, superstitious views.
Oh yeah, always is a gray area. When you grow up, you realize a lot of things are gray area. It's kind of half and half.
Look, here you go.
Right here. Rock and roll. Yeah, see right here. We're like, what?
Yeah. So the witch window, to me, you can say it's to keep witches out, but undeniably, this was to save materials and to be able to build on your home and not wait for another 2 years to get some glass to make a window from England. You already have a window. You just make it
use
fit.
it right now. Yeah.
You left nothing for the trash. You utilized everything you had.
That sounds a lot like what the Kowloon Walled City would do in Hong Kong. Have you guys ever heard of that?
I know all about it.
There was a area in Hong Kong back in the 70s, I think it started, where people just started building because it was like a free-for-all, lawless, reckless area where nobody, I guess, really owned it or controlled it. So they just started building makeshift homes, and they would use whatever materials they did, and they literally were like, it was like a shanty town that was built on top of each other, up to the point where it became the size of a wall. And eventually they had to bulldoze it down because it was dangerous. There was a crime. I guess there were so many illegal dentists that would work in there.
I know
as
all
well.
about it.
Yep. That's horrifying.
This is what just so you guys know what we're about to see. This is what life looks like without building code. I know you guys hate building code and everything. You want building code because look, Kowloon Walled City is still around today the exact same way. You can still go see it.
No,
right now.
it's a park now. They bulldozed the city down, and
yeah, that's what I meant.
It's a park now.
In 1989.
Yeah, this is what it used to look like, though.
So yeah,
that's all makeshift.
There's just no jurisdiction
Yep.
in that area.
Oh, wow.
There. Imagine being a real estate agent there. They'd be like,
yeah, it was a lawless area. There was no jurisdiction, right? So they took advantage of it, and people would just move in, no rent. They just move in. Like,
Your neighbor just starts adding a floor above you.
Well, imagine living
chops
there.
into your ceiling. What
Imagine
are you gonna do?
you want a yard and a pool.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah. In another episode, I will discuss my alternative building solutions to modular homes, not the ones that come on the wide-ass trucks, like this little cabin-sized thing. We're building those up and buying modular pieces of home. I mean, I'm not going to get into it now, but basically the idea behind this that I've tried to patent for, but it's a bit too vague right now, that you can get a home that comes by 8 by 20, it's 8 by 16, so they can intersect any way. And you can add, see how I was talking about the hate for realtors earlier? Not the hate for realtor industry and real estate industry, and just make industry try to come down, try to give power back to civilians. The idea was, now I'm going after the banks. So what I mean by this is, if I buy a piece of property and I want to develop it, I want it to be able to have my first section. They cost, like, say, 10 grand a section. I want to buy the home in sections, rather than get a mortgage where you buy a home all at once. I want to buy the home slowly and expand it.
Yeah.
And so they all link together like Legos. So that way you can get rid of all the banks, all the mortgages. I mean, when you think about the society we have, right? I mean, somebody here may or may not work in insurance, and somebody here may or may not work in realty. Both of those things do not physically create a service. They do a service. Like, if I have life insurance, I'd love Brent selling me if he sells insurance or not. I don't know. He has some insurance job, but I like the service. I use the realtor. I'm not saying they're bad things, but I'm saying that anything that isn't producing a physical thing in the world, I always end up trying to find a way around it, because it's almost abstract. It's just a piece of paper saying, if I were to pass away, this money could come, but it's not a physical thing. You know, it will affect me physically when my loved ones and when I pass. The real estate agent, like, stop me from physically fucking this up or whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm about utility. Like, just how my brain works. I'm about utility. I like generators and like things that I can touch. You know, cars and increasing way of life. You know. But I understand. Like, as you grow up, you understand, like, these industries. These people aren't stupid. Like, they have more money than you. So am I the stupid one if they have more money than me? You know.
Well, that's not always the case with realtors, by any means. And I think what you're talking about with not having a tangible thing that you're spending money on, what we're talking about is a service being provided. It's not a tangible thing you can touch, but the idea being that if the service provided to you is done well, then your goal, whether it be a tangible item of real estate or whatever else, is met and attained, and you have it. That we give that to you through the service. That is the goal always. And when it's done well, I mean, we've earned our compensation and then some, but it is not always being performed that way. And that's, I think, the disconnect between realtors and having a conversation with people on the other side is, you know, your experience is absolutely valid. That's not every experience with a realtor, but you should be paying for a service that you are, at the end of the day, you felt like your money is well spent.
I agree with that. You know, I see how nicely she just explained that. Just so everybody knows, this is no secret. I legitimately just reached out to her because there was some argument going on online, and there was somebody making sense in the argument, and it's this girl right here sitting next to me. And it just came from me reaching out because some person was trying to de-escalate an argument and bring some sense to it rather than just babbling to each other. And so it's just funny how little good deeds go such a long way. Something like that brought all of us here together now. And the whole new connection is opened up now, you know what I mean? Now we all know each other. We have this thing going on. From, like, doing almost, like, not to sound corny, but, like, kind of like a good deed, you know? It's just kind of from doing a good deed. That's it. And that was from another, I don't know if it's a good deed or not, but it was from me trying to open up that discussion group, the Smithfield Uncensored discussion group. I did that because I didn't want people to be able to be censored by one guy. The whole speech in this town, okay, is one guy, whoever started the Facebook group, the official community group, 10 years ago. He
controls what people say and what they
dude,
care.
got no issue. This is good to understand. Got no issue with the guy. I think he's doing a good job. But the thing is that anybody could get that spot. I don't know what the next town over might have some lunatic running it. And if you get on the news because somebody accused you of using coercion in a real estate sale, and that guy doesn't like you because you had beef with his wife, you try to claim your innocence online, he'll take it off.
Yeah.
So I have Smithfield Uncensored that we have to monitor, and we have to deal with people's problems. People try to expose each other on there. They try to post pictures of people and stuff, and we have to say, is this okay or not? Just to wrap this up, what I'm trying to say with this group is every town should have, if we really have freedom of speech, like basically, I'm not trying to like go into calling fire in a crowded theater, but if we want to be able to speak, I think that you should have a website, the official website of Smithfield, where you can post a discussion. Listen, I'm not going to a town meeting, bro. I'm not doing it. Then they go, oh well, you have freedom of speech still. You just Facebook's a private entity. You can still go. You've been to the crossings, right, Nicole? You know there's a gazebo there. That's like the town center of Smithfield. If I go there to try to discuss what happened to me on the news, who's listening? And they're gonna throw me out. I need to use Facebook to discuss something that I may have an issue with. The bump. Do you ever drive on Esmond Street in this town? They have the bump from 20 years ago is still there.
Sorry.
We have a bump that's 20 years old. I think they repaved in the bump, so they never. It's like, you know, I don't even have an issue. I'm just saying that people need to be able to say these things without could be some lunatic that's in charge of the speech. You know what I mean? So that's why we started the group. You know what I mean? So, quick break. We're gonna do our closing arguments. Okay. So when it warms up, me and B-Dog might want to do this. You know. Well, all right, fellas, hold on real quick. We are all back here, and we just started talking about disc golf. So, we got Webster Fish and Game Associates. Has anybody in this room ever played disc golf? One person has. I don't think this kid
I've played
has.
it before, but not like officially, just like messing around at Guarded Park.
And B-Dog, one last joke for you.
Oh,
You look
yeah.
like Goddard
That
Park.
area.
You look like the guy from who's that? No Country for Old Men. Is that who it is? That's got the Spanish guy with the long hair.
Yeah.
All right. I was just saying that.
Okay.
Hope you don't cut your hair soon, buddy.
Okay.
All right. So So I want to see like what is the vibe. So if I go here, do I have a beer in my hand? Like what's going?
Yes.
And I bring my own. You guys don't call them frisbees, right?
Discs.
Yeah, you call them discs. Where's my disc?
I don't judge.
That
You
looks
can call it a
crazy right
frisbee,
there.
but other disc golfers might, have something
This
to
place
say
looks
about
awesome.
I don't.
There it is. right
I mean,
there.
you don't got to be in like great shape or nothing for this. You can do it. Any newbie can do this, right?
that. Yeah, you don't even have to have ever played before or...
B-Dog, get me a YouTube video of like best disc golf shot ever. I don't know why I've never seen it. I've heard about it. I heard about people talking about it, but I figured it was like playing cornhole, where it's just like something I just don't want to do. I don't know why, but is it an 18? So if I go to an 18-hole course, how much walking's involved? Is like do you end up walking a mile? Or
Some courses are larger than others, and so some you're taking a couple mile hike when all is said and done through the 18 holes, and usually it ends where it starts, so you're kind of doing a big loop. Some are shorter. It ends up being a good amount of exercise, but I wouldn't say I've ever played a course where it would be difficult for any level of physical activity to play.
Everybody who's thrown a frisbee has the issue where you throw it and it does that inevitable doom thing where it starts going up like this and going to the side. Okay, do you need more of a spin, less of a spin? How do you fix that issue with the always going flying saucer in this way and taking off? How do you fix that?
I don't know. I've been playing for 15 years and I've never gotten any better. And maybe the beer that I bring with me sometimes is the problem, but I enjoy it every time. It's a great game. The discs are different. They have different weights. It's like golf, where your clubs have different weights and they have different purposes. And it's the same with discs. So I've got my nerd bag of like 12 different discs, and like I said, I'm not very good, so I only use the same 2 or 3 of them. But a good disc golfer would know how to use all of them, where and when, and exactly how to tilt their wrist, and good for them.
It's always the people that say they're not very good that smoke you on the disc golf course.
Yeah, let's just let you think that.
Let's
Sure.
see this. So this guy looks pro, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're smaller than I thought. Okay. This is an uphill battle here. This is actually Nipsachuk Hill. I recognize this. So King Philip went right up here when he was with the natives. See, that's King. The guy in the red. He's King Philip.
Yep.
That's him. Yeah,
That
yeah.
was a gun you just shot.
Look at these other. Hey, what are they? Are they made out of clay? Are these plastic? What are these things?
Plastic, and they have also different varieties of the hardness of the plastic. So you spend more for plastic that is less porous and harder because
rewind
it
that, B-Dog.
chips and the trees affect it less. 'Cause when you hit some trees enough, your disc is hurt on the edges.
You know what we all thought that don't know about this? We thought that was a basketball hoop you're trying to get into,
yeah.
but you're going
Looks
to the
like
side of it. See, kids, it looks like a basketball. It's the same colors, but you're not trying to go in it. You're trying to go to the side of it.
You're trying to get inside of those that
chains.
basket underneath that top level. So you're aiming for the chains, and the chains stop it from
they
going
slow
all
it.
the way through, and the chains should drop it in the basket from any angle that you throw it.
So this is very good for someone who doesn't want to dump a few grand into golf clubs, and then go get a membership. And then you have to be in with the guys, and you have to rent the golf. Yeah, I know that's definitely a lot.
way less pretentious.
I mean, honestly, once you get like this, once you get the little lightweight jersey and the little sponsor back, it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? What did you like? You don't have like a little cart you push around. You just hold the stuff with you. You know what I mean? It's.
If I bring a bag, I would.
They're all
imagine.
there are different kinds of bags. My bag is just it holds about 10, 15 discs. I can put my drink water bottle on the side, straightforward. But, my husband has one with a cooler in the middle, and it's detachable, and he can carry about 30 discs because he considers himself a big disc golf deal. So, have at it.
I could just imagine, like, if we made a video game about it, it'd be like this kid that's a DJ, so he can, like, spin his records, and he also throws them like a disc golf thing, you know what I mean? They make a disc golf. You sure there's probably is a dude. I have to make
disc
Google
golf
shit. It's
DJ?
gonna be a disc golf game. No, a disc golf game. I guarantee you, it's there. It's gonna be for PC, some off-brand. A disc golf game, like a
there
PC
is disc
game.
golf.
For Xbox or something.
Yeah.
Oh, video
Yeah,
game.
I've played it on things.
Oh man, you're the coolest. I know when the weather's bad, you can at least do it on the Xbox.
There you go.
This is cool.
Oh no, we still go in the winter sometimes.
Look at
It's
this.
terrible.
This is like real life.
Yeah.
There was a plumber game I remember playing. You actually had to unclog crap and stuff like that. Oh, have you guys been to X Golf? The X Golf around here, where you're like up on the balcony golfing off you. Probably never did that.
I've heard of that.
It's if you want to pay $50, it's awesome. I mean, it's a social thing. You know
The
what I
one
mean?
in Lincoln?
No, that's the indoor one. The outdoor one on 37. You know, Route 37 in Warwick. X Golf, you can see from the highway.
Yes.
Yeah, I went there. It's you can go in a night like tonight. The infrared heaters will burn you. It will be hot. Yeah. I can just imagine like what the insurance is like, and I actually worked for the guy that built the place, so I know about him. But yeah, I ended up going a little while ago. But so anyway, all right. Let me try to. What we're gonna do, guys? We're gonna do some closing arguments.
Yeah.
So what a closing argument is that you say something that you want to recap about it. I'm probably going to continue one of my rants. They're supposed to be anywhere from 30 seconds to like a minute and a half, okay? So what I wanted to say basically from all of this is that definitions change over time, okay? With these witches' windows. Like, dude, if you grew up in a time where it was normal, it's like when an Italian guy says, oh, my grandmother makes the best spaghetti. I love my grandmother's spaghetti. It's the best in the world. Like, this guy's convinced it's the best in the world. You can grow up at witches' windows and think, I grew up with that. That's what we have. Like, why do you like 80s rock? Like, you grew up with 80s rock. You loved your dad died. He listened to 80s rock. You like 80s rock now. You know what I mean? Your definitions will change. What you think is normal changes. Look at yourself when you were a preteen. Do you like the way you looked? Like, we all going through these phases. You're going to talk about these Native Americans if they were too brutal to the English shouldn't have fled England to go there. It's like, guys, either they literally are fighting because they're both similar. You'll realize in these wars, people fight because they have the same values. Sometimes when people are so different, they're actually exactly the same. If they were different, they wouldn't even be fighting. If the natives were like, we want to smoke pot and reach the moon, bro. We're on the rocket, we want to reach the moon. They wouldn't even be fighting over land. It's because they want the same thing. You know what I mean? Once you group people up into sides, just think about how competitive you get with a game, right? When you group people up into sides and then you threaten their livelihood, that's when you get a war. Okay? Or even the wars going on now. They just want the same thing. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. All those people in these historical wars, they were real people, guys. They don't matter more or less than us, but that's what it is. This podcast has become profound. Anyway, all right, B-Dog, take away. What are you thinking, buddy?
Well, I mean, to get on the real estate subject again, I know that the market is tough right now, but I really do feel that as the economy gets better, things will get better, and I think that the industry is going to blow up, and it'll be good to buy a home again. So,
I can't believe I never done this. Is the first time ever. You're not supposed to argue the closing statements of somebody's closing statement, but I wanted to say, with all these COVID deaths we had, I think they might have been a little inflated. We had some COVID deaths. With the lowering birth rate since the 90s, where's all the empty homes? Homes should be like $200,000 now. They should be flying off the shelves because we have declining birth rates and COVID deaths that just happened recently. We never had a flood of the market. What the hell happened? Like, are these stats real? You know, I mean, so that, you know, how much can you trust? Anyway, do you have any closing arguments you'd like to say to us, Nicole?
Yeah, I'll quickly touch on both of the things, and we'll wrap it up with the King Phillips War. But like you were talking about with inventory is strange. I have the same questions about it myself. I can't get any solid answers other than, yes, there was a decline of new builds and inventory for a while. But I also wonder to myself, is it possible that large investment firms, mega groups, BlackRocks, would be incentivized to buy up large swaths of single-family properties and do nothing and let them sit and rot, because that would, inflate the market for those properties and that they own, and also this could be a tax write-off. This is depreciation. So I don't know enough to know if that's the case. I'm just a person here with questions. But I do wonder about that. And to finish on King Phillips War, I think when you get into the nuances of today's morality and back in the day, I just think that the irony should not be lost on all of us that you can directly relate the actions of King Philip's War to the colonists eventually kicking England's ass, and we're America and we're free, because the military tactics that defeated the crown, England, that we needed to get our independence, those military tactics were directly learned from the indigenous people through King Philip's War and Benjamin Church. He took that warfare that was not used prior to coming here and colonizing this area and learning it from the natives. Before that, it was very English, very formal, and that wasn't working here. And that's what we ended up deploying to kick England back overseas. So it's ironic that in a roundabout way, King Philip and all the indigenous people here eventually did defeat England.
So that brings me, guys, to say that the word of the day for today was profound. This was all top secret. This was all classified information. But this is what profound feels like if you're still listening. Thanks for making it to the end, guys. And that's it. Let's close this out.